Yo, what up, guys? We are live. So we decided to get rid of Austin. He's a faggot. He's done. We replaced him with Lloyd from the single guy. So yeah, this is the end of Austin. We just basically were just talking about how much we're tired of him. No, I'm just kidding. Austin might come later, he might not. I'm not really sure. But yeah, big welcome to the single guy. You guys have probably
Thank
seen
you,
him on
guys.
the channel. He runs a pretty cool channel. We've done a few collabs together, and he's joining us.
Yeah, just so you guys know, I am not the guy who shot Brian Thompson. This is Lloyd, the single guy. I might have the same eyebrows as him, but we're different people.
Wasn't that dude's name like Luigi or something? Is like super Italian.
His name's Luigi. Yeah,
Luigi.
When I saw his photo, I'm like, people are gonna give me shit for that. I know it.
I mean, some people will think you're a hero, and some people will. The reaction has been pretty mixed on that.
I mean, if I was that McDonald's worker, I would have kept that to myself.
Oh, he worked at McDonald's. I didn't know that.
No. McDonald's worker turned him in.
Okay. All right, guys. So let's see. Where should we start today? I guess, Michael, you sent the debate that you want us to check out, and I'll admit I didn't get a chance to look at it yet. What about that debate stood out to you? Like, what were your takeaways from that?
Bro, it was insanity. I mean, Marcus, why don't you go over the most insane points? I mean, dude, I've been having this debate off for years, but I've just never. And by the way, I want to say this first. I like Lucario a lot. And I don't want to talk bad about him because he's not here to like defend himself. But there was a debate yesterday, and people were acting like it was some kind of debate, like both sides made points. Lucario said some insane shit that like I cannot possibly get behind, and I don't understand how other people can too. I would not let my wife fuck other dudes. I am not going to let my daughter fuck 6 dudes in a night. I am not going to like. Go on, Marcus. I mean, you heard what he said.
All these things?
Yes. Yeah, 100% he said that, dude. And it was because go ahead, Marcus, you take it. Go ahead, bro.
Yeah. So Alex was on the panel we were on originally a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
And I thought this debate was just going to be around locus control and indirect openers. Like it seemed like he just wanted to go super direct and just screen that way and just bounce to girl.
Yeah.
And so I thought this was just going to be a chat around like, okay, going indirect is going to work a little bit better and you can build attraction. You have like control over that. I did not expect him to say. He said every single girl will have sex with a guy in a bathroom within 5 minutes. Not only that, they've already done it. Every single girl on the planet. And then I asked him, and apparently they have no control over it. And I said, so your daughters, if they met 5 attractive guys, they would sleep with 5 guys within 5 minutes in the bathroom. He said, yes. Then I asked, would you encourage that? Would that be something that like they should do? And then he said, yes. I was like, what the fuck? Then I said, so hang on, your wife will cheat on you. You like that will happen. And he said, yes. And I was like, where do I even say to this? I have no idea what the fuck is going on right now. So yeah, apparently it's okay to date 6s. It's okay for your daughter to fuck 6 dudes in the bathroom. It's okay for your wife to cheat on you. And that's the style of game they run. So I mean, I don't know.
I watched a little bit of it. Is he in an open relationship, or is he like doing the poly thing or something like that?
I don't know about that. Here's the thing. I don't want to get too much into Lucario's like personal life. What I do want to say is this is like I like Alan Roger Curry. I read all of his books, and I don't agree with his hyper direct way of opening, but he had some really interesting contributions to give. The problem is this is a derivative of ARC's beliefs, but it's to the point where it's like absurd. So basically, if a woman is hot and a woman is compliant, those are 2 different metrics. Just like if a person is strong and a person is fast, those are 2 different metrics. With him, it's like a woman becomes more attractive the more compliant she gets. And I get that. That's a very interesting reframe. And it's if I could actually see the world that way, that'd be incredible. If all I had were just like unattractive women who are super compliant and I found them all attractive, my life would be 100 times easier. I'd have 17 women live with me. It would be fucking incredible. But we all know that's not the case. We all know that women, just because they're more compliant, does not make them more physically attractive. And that was the argument he was making. And I'm just like, dude, I don't even know where to go with this, because the reality of the situation is, and I don't want to get into like a huge debate about this, but like my whole thing is, if what he's saying is true, then all he would have to do is like just have the Mode 1 guys come out to like some social circle event and then pick up like some fucking Ukrainian 10 runway model. And if I saw that, then I'd believe him. The problem is this whole ideology of just going hyper direct has been around for 20 fucking years, and it doesn't work. Well, I'm not going to say it doesn't work. It definitely works if you're really good looking. My point is, going that level of direct is just less efficient. And then the other part with Marcus is that, like he was saying, Marcus was the one who's chasing. I'm like, dude, you go up to girls and you straight up say, I want to spend time with you. That's chasing. I don't do that. Anyway, that was the whole point. you guys are probably not going to push back that much against what we're saying, but bro, it was madness. And I really like Lucario, but it was just like he basically had read the Lord of the Rings and then thought it was real. Like it was like ARC is cool. I like Alan Roger Curry, but the idea that you're banging hot girls because you just go direct all the time, it's just not true. It just, and here's the main difference, right? If he met girls that were so sociosexual that were down to fuck him 5 minutes in the bathroom, which is not 99% of women, it's ridiculous. It's not even close to that number. Yeah. That if he met those girls, then Marcus and I could go up to those girls and talk to them and they would sleep with us too. But if Marcus and I go indirect and a girl sees us with other women and we build value in their eyes and they end up sleeping with us, he can't do that with them. Does that make sense? We can go that direction. He can't come our direction. But he says he doesn't want to come our direction because the girls we talk to probably aren't attracted to him because they're not compliant, which is ridiculous. Like girls can be attractive even if they're not compliant. That's the first thing.
It really reminds me of, I think I mentioned this in the debate, like the way women are now, where they're really fat and then they say, well, I'm beautiful on the inside. That's all that matters. Or they say like, I'm a 10 and because I believe I'm a 10. He does it in the reverse, where he's just like, looks don't matter to me. All I care about is compliance. So I would rather take a really unattractive girl, as long as she says yes to me instantly, than a girl who's going to reject me.
No, but
I remember that from the precursor. I guess I was there for the precursor to this debate. The one question I thought, which was like, sometimes when you're like debating someone, you ask questions that you already have an idea what the answer is going to be to. So the question I asked was, okay, you have a choice between a 5 who's super into you and like a 9 or 10 who's giving you like a little bit of shit. And obviously,
what's a 9, Alex? What's a 9, dog? What's a 9? What's a 9? What's a 9 though?
I thought he was going to say,
they're high status, bro. I'm like, bro,
I thought he was going to say, well, of course, in this analogy, I would pick a 9, but he said
he straight up just said the 6, yeah,
or 5.
He didn't even say.
Let me define terms. So before a debate, you got to define. Let me define terms. If I were to take 1 million accounts on dating apps, 1 million of them, and I were to stratify them from this is a 0, so these girls get the fewest amount of right swipes, so these get the mid to these get the most, and I say the women that are in the top 10 percentile, and I call those girls a 9. If we're talking about women in the top 10 percentile, this does not work on those women, with a few exceptions. You have extremely high status. You're very good looking. She happened to have taken Molly. You guys are in a friend group together, then maybe you can go hyper direct. And I've done that before. But the idea that 99% of women are going to let you go hyper direct to let you fuck, and this is not talking about same night lay, bro. Fuck in a bathroom 5 minutes after you met them. He was very specific about this. That is not reality. It just isn't. And like, I don't want to be disrespectful about this, but it's just not true. That is not the way the world works. And it's real simple. If you disagree with me, very simple. I will put up, I'm not kidding, I will put up $10,000 right now. If any average looking mode 1 guy can come to any one of my events, he has 5 minutes, we'll set a timer, and he has to pull and fuck a girl. Like we said before, we're going to stratify 1 million IG accounts. This is a girl who would fit in the top. We'll say a 7. Marcus, would you say a 7? I don't think this would even work on a 7. If we were to stratify,
you have to set up some cameras in the bathroom and shit, so we can.
Alex, we can set up anything you want. It's not going to happen, and he knows it's not going to happen. This will never happen. I'll put up $10,000. This will never happen.
I mean, obviously, what's really happening is that he's probably not going to high end events. Okay, he's going to like regular, probably semi ratchet places. And he's not just cold approaching the hottest girls. He's looking for IOIs, and he gets a lot of choosing signals from a girl who's probably like a 4 or 5, and then he pulls her to the bathroom, and then he just kind of assumes that would be the case with any girl.
Yeah, hold on, time out. And I'm gonna say this too. And again, not to be disrespectful, but Lucario, the vast majority of time that he's fucked a girl, it hasn't been 5 minutes in a bathroom either. Does that make sense?
Well,
it's not like
Yeah,
it's the vast majority of time. That's not even the truth for him as well. And so, like, the problem is, guys, the problem is, guys, like, this is a dangerous precedent to set, to even talk, like, to be. What I don't want to go too far down this road, but it was just like I'm sitting there. Me and my friends were just screaming at YouTube. Like, I cannot believe what I'm hearing right now. It's just crazy. Women. Okay, so let me give you guys a couple of. We're going to go into some like heavy data here. Number one, physical attractiveness is objective. There is subjectivity within the objective nature of it. But like, for instance, I may like Asian women and black women. You may like white women and Indian women. There may be some subjectivity. I have a problem where I only date girls with huge fake tits. You guys might not like fake tits. So there is subjectivity.
I like fake tits.
Right. But none of us like unsymmetrical tits, not even him. None of us like women with blotchy, uneven faces with pockmarks, and none of us like women where their waist is thicker than their hips. None of us like that. There are universal signs of symmetry, facial symmetry, clear skin, and signs of youth that men all over the world, there is thousands of data points on this. Dr. Bust is the first one in 1989, proves this unequivocally.
Michael, we don't need data for this. This is common sense. Everyone agrees with you.
No, but it isn't. So, Alex, this is what you're going to find out. Marcus, what happened in the comments after you got off? What did you see in the comments?
It's absolutely wild. These guys are coping so hard.
Alex, it was 9-1. Everyone saying that Lucario was 100% correct. You believe whatever you want, Alex. Believe whatever you want, Alex.
Wow. Like, but you know what it is? Like, I see this exact same.
Go through the comments. That's crazy. Right? I feel like this is just like a common sense like argument.
Yeah, dude, it's another cope. The problem is we see this in like Black Pill, right? Where guys are just so convinced like looks are the only thing that ever matters. You have no control over anything else.
That's true.
And it just they're delusional, but it's for a reason. Like it makes sense to me. Like because if you can get yourself that delusional, your life is better. It feels better. I don't have to go out and try with women now. I don't have to do that. Like there's nothing wrong with me now. It's just looks. I don't have it. It's genetic. And so for these like mode 1 guys or whatever the fuck you want to call it, again, like there's no responsibility now. I just go up, I open, I show intent. If it doesn't work, I just go on to the next goal. And if I end up with a 5 or a 6, I just say, I don't care about looks, right? If her tits are asymmetrical, hey, I got compliance. That's all that fucking matters. I just found a girl willing to say yes to me. So I'm happy with that. Who cares?
It's wild,
but
I mean, to me, it always sounded like a big ego thing, which is like, oh, well, you know, like I can't handle a shit test, or if a girl is anything but super compliant, like my ego won't let me persist. But then at the same time, I mean, what you guys said about the second part of this discussion actually surprised the shit out of me, because if you have an ego when it comes to like non-compliance, then how do you not have an ego when it comes to like your wife fucking other dudes? Like to me, like. I like to think that
I don't think he said what he said was if my wife met someone she was sexually attracted to, she would cheat on me. He didn't say he allows her to.
Oh, I see.
I want to be clear about that.
He said it will happen though. Yeah, he didn't say.
Oh, he said, okay, I didn't hear that.
Is if my wife meets someone she's sexually attracted to, she will cheat on me, and she will meet someone in a lifetime that she's sexually attracted to. So I said, your wife will cheat on you. He goes, yes, of course. And I was like,
and people in the comments were like 9-1 still agreeing with that.
9-1 agreeing with him.
Yes.
9-1.
I mean, your girl or your wife meets guys she's sexually attracted to every day. There's like if she goes to the gym, there's good-looking guys there. Yep. Does he not believe in the concept of like emotional investment and fidelity? Like does he think those?
He doesn't believe in the concept of game, Alex. Like there is. So here's another thing that's really important to understand, guys. If you get good at game, the thing that you actually got good at is not sleeping with women who like you. You got good at sleeping with women who don't like you. That's the point. To him, that idea was so outside of his reality. What indirect game and social circle does is take women who see me, and they're like, Michael Sartain is lacking. This is not a person I would have sex with. I'm not discluding him, but I'm not interested in having sex with him. And then over my displays of status, pre-selection, relevancy, competency, access to scarce resources, and social status, by doing all those things, then I get to a point where she deems me, she's like, okay, I would have sex with this guy. And then either she starts chasing or starts giving me a bunch of indicators that she's interested in me. The point is, I'm manufacturing, regardless of how you want to say it, I'm manufacturing attraction. Every single guy who's watched this, who's had any success with game at all, I'm not talking about just going up direct with a girl. You've learned any kind of game. You know you have manufactured attraction. You've taken a no and turned it to a yes. Anybody who's worked in sales, you've taken a no and turned it into a yes. Therefore, game does exist. There's no way to disprove game exists. There's too many people who use game all the time, but yet the problem is like what it's exactly what Marcus said. It's like a combination somehow of like LBGT, everyone is beautiful, combined with black pill only looks and status matter, and game doesn't exist. It was like a fucking manifestation of black pill and MGTOW. It's like not only does he walk away when you don't immediately comply, he's proud of himself for doing so. He's proud that he walked away because he's walked away under his own terms. It's under my terms I walked away from you. Like that's like he's proud of it. And I'm just like, this is crazy. Like, no one, if I'm selling from stage, or if I'm closing somebody on the phone, initially, if they just lay down, that's awesome. But most dudes aren't going to lay down whenever you're trying to sell them something. You have to go through pain points. You have to change. The part this was the craziest part to me, Marcus, is when he said to you, you can change a girl's mind. Teach me how to do that. And I was like, unironically, I was like, that's it.
Yes.
Bro, I'll give you
That should be your whole program.
I'll give you the course for free if you want it. Of course, I can change a girl's mind. But the part is, what was he on the debate to do in the first place? To change people's mind. Literally, he was on the debate to change people's mind, saying that it was impossible to get a woman to change her mind. Do you see the madness?
True.
Like
not only that, but like he said, you have no influence over how your kids turn out, or you have no influence on, like, I think he even mentioned your business. Like, he's just living in this world where he has like no power, no control, and that's why I said, like, you're submissive. That's all it is. I think a good point to like lead into would be actually talking about something that isn't so like common sense to us, which would be, at what point does chasing and persistence kind of meet, right? Because I think there is like a line. Like, obviously, Lucario thinks like anything is chasing, right? But there obviously is a time where that changes, right? So, for example, like what I see in students sometimes is they're in like sets for like 20 minutes. They're in a nightclub. And then the girl's like, hey, you should come go to the dance hall with me and my friends. And then the students are at the point where it's like, hey, is this persisting? Should I go with her? Or is that too chasey and needy? Should I like pull back and shift? So I think that's probably a good point we could chat about that actually would have some value.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's an interesting question. I think most of the time they don't meet. I think like it's just intuitively obvious when you see a guy chasing versus a guy who's being persistent. I think part of it is the place it's coming from. So the guy who's being persistent, he's doing it because he just wants to, right? It's just like I would like this to happen, versus the guy who's chasing is doing it from a place of need. It's a place of scarcity. I need this to happen because this is the hottest girl I ever talked to, or I haven't gotten laid in 2 years and I need this to happen. I need this girl to like me. So I think the place it's coming from is one. I think kind of the manner in which you're doing it. If you're getting desperate, like you can be very persistent without being desperate, I think. I mean, like this kind of goes back to sales. You can also be like a needy person, like, please buy my shit. Or you can just be like one of those people who's like has a smile on, like, listen, I'm not gonna take no for an answer. Let's talk about it. What's preventing you from buying this product versus please buy my shit. I don't know. It's an interesting question.
Yeah. Well, you need some level of compliance, right? So, I've been out. I guess if we're talking about like out at the bars or whatever. If you're out, then I usually wait for like some level of compliance. Like, if I talk to a woman at like 10 p.m., she might not be super into me, right? But like we talk to her, she goes off and does her own thing. I'm hanging around. I'm talking to a few more people. I'm being gregarious. Then I see her around me again. Then I talk to her again and she's more interested because it's like, 12:31 or whatever. She's had time to socialize. Maybe she's had a few drinks or something like that. Then it gets easier. But what I see guys do when I know a guy is chasing is if they follow the girl, like the girl leaves, goes off somewhere else. He follows her, goes to the bar to try and talk to her again. Like that's chasing, and you can see them do it physically. So I typically recommend that guys never follow women and get them to want to come hang out with you.
I agree.
Yeah, I agree. I think there's what I can't stand to see the most, right, is guys that are way too cautious about this and they go too far in the other direction. So you might have a girl that is like, she's down. She's like, so where do you live again? Oh yeah, we should head to your place later. Like you could have a girl like completely into you, like completely fucking compliant. And then they'll say something like, oh, but can you just come with me? I just need to drop my keys off my friends, so they have it so they can get into my... And the guy's like, no, I'm not walking over with you to your friends or some shit. Or like, it's like, all right, let's go back to your place. I'll go suck your dick. And I just need to use the bathroom first. Can you walk me there? And the guy's like,
yeah, that's fine.
Marcus, I don't even believe Lucario would do that. I believe Lucario if he got compliance from a girl for a few minutes and she's like, hey, I have to go do this thing, he'd be like, okay, cool. Like I truly don't believe that he just walks away from, especially when the girl is like all over him and like talking to him and shit. I don't believe that. I'm sorry. But again, you could just show me. It's real simple. Like I don't want to get into like a pissing contest where he said, she said, because I like Lucario. The problem is just show me the fucking guys who go mode 1 all the time, who are crushing the hottest girls. And these girls, like, again, I'm not talking about like, it's so obvious when you read studies on sociosexual women that it's like, that's who he's talking to. He's talking to sociosexual women, and he's extrapolated that to all women because I guess
when you say sociosexual women, what are you talking about?
Sociosexual women are the ones with like the 300-400 body count. Like
okay, gotcha.
Yeah, like sociosexual women.
Yeah,
sociosexual women. So like the median man puts him in the top 1% of men. The median man puts him in the top 1% of women as far as the number of sexual partners he wants. But of course, to Lucario, there's like all women are lying and they all want sex exactly as much as men. And we're just like, because our game is not open and alpha enough, then women don't throw themselves. It's just not true. Because if it was true, here's what would happen. Here's the problem. If it was true, no one would do anything but that. And he would like literally none of us would even have a course. If there was even 1% truth in that, none of us would even have a course, because all he could do is he would just go out and show that every time he walked up to a woman with full alphaness, he would be able to show a pull and just blur her face out. And he would have literally 500 fucking videos on YouTube showing that. And he have endless testimonials, but he doesn't or at least he'd be trying to do it here in Vegas. But I mean, there's another dude who promised that he could do that here in Vegas too, and he was lying. It's just not true, dude. It just isn't true.
Michael, I think you made this point pretty clear. I think
no, but again, bro, when you see the comments that you're gonna get later, bro, just wait, Alex. You're gonna be like, okay, this is
no, for sure. There's some cringe. I mean, really quickly. Let's just quickly address this because it's been on the screen for a while. Markus, Game Global overwhelmingly voted in favor of U6535. Yet most of the comments are filled with pro Lucario shit. It's using bots. Interesting question. Like, why do you think that's the case? Why did they vote 65% in favor of you, but the comments are reflecting something very different?
I mean, they might not be bots. It might just he may have gone to his email newsletter and said, "Hey guys, I'm going to do this debate. Come support me." It might not have been bots. It might have been just that.
But you would think those people would vote, right? Like,
it was weird. It was weird. The first debate, there were a couple of things on there where I was like, this either looks like some like Indian fan that can't type properly, or it felt very botted. But my guess would be that Game Global guys that are signed up are probably game guys and could look at this and be like, okay, well, Lucario is obviously crazy. Whereas I'm not sure if all Lucario's fan base jumped on like Game Global's Telegram. That would be one of my guesses. I mean, it could be botted. I don't care. Like either way.
I'm still surprised by the 35%. I'll be honest.
I almost guarantee you. Yeah, that's exactly what happened. Like what the ones that did, like they equaled the 35. It was 135 votes. Like the ones that did vote, they were the ones who voted in the 35%. I don't think anyone came to that discussion objectively, having no information about it, and said, yeah, that makes sense. My daughter fucking 5 dudes in a bathroom.
Exactly.
No one did that. No one. And it's just like, but I'm actually concerned. Like, I'm not mad at all, because it's like nobody who would actually believe that would ever buy my course anyway. So it doesn't matter to me. But it's like, I'm legitimately concerned. Like, how the fuck can you think that's true? You know?
I mean, there's a lot of people who think all kinds of ridiculous shit. I mean, there's people who think the Earth is flat, Michael. You know, like we're like,
I've debated them 5 times.
The real problem I have is the coaches that feed into this. That's the problem I have. Like, they should know better. Like, I can understand. Like, sometimes I have guys like this coming to my program with really bad, like, negative beliefs, and they think like women are awful and they're all like this and that and like blah blah and like nothing else matters. And I think it's like our job as people like coaching this and in like a public space to help these guys actually have some hope and have some control over their lives. To sit there and just be like, oh, you're fat? Yeah, don't worry. It's fine. You're beautiful as fat is what we're doing in this coaching space. If you're someone on this like fucking black pill Lucario space where it's like, oh, you're terrible with women? No worries. Don't worry. Women suck and you just need 6s. That's fine. Like, I that's what I don't like. Like, if you're an individual doing it, it's cool. You probably don't know better. But to be coaching it, that's where I kind of have the problem.
I would agree. But I think there's one key caveat. The person that has to be open to at least hearing your perspective. If someone has like 100% made up their mind and they're like, you can expose them to like all the correct content they want, they will just spin it. I watch this happen in my comment section all the time. Like, Alex, post this kind of infield, and I would. Oh, well, you know, can we see the whole thing? Okay, I post the whole thing. Oh, well, can we do it without the dog? Okay, here's one without the dog. Oh, well, he probably just paid her anyway. Like, there's just someone who's already made up his mind, so that person has to be willing to listen.
Yeah, I mean, there's levels of cope out there. If people want to get to them, you know, they can find them anywhere. But it's really whether you're willing to take responsibility. And I think if people are joining your program, Markus, they're at least willing to listen. They're open to hearing it, 100%. You know. So it sounds like they have some hope.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. And I
You
think
know
like
what?
our jokes are like that.
So just imagine this, because I don't think Lucario hates women at all. What happened though is if you lead, actually we can leave Lucario out of this. This is an ARC thing, and rest in peace, Alan Roger Curry. I wish I could have met him. Rollo likes him. He seemed like a really cool guy. But what happened was, his defense, I totally agree with. For those of you who don't know, his defense was this, and this is the way I describe it. He says men do not become misogynists because they get cheated on. Men become misogynist when women waste their time. The whole book is about no free attention and women not wasting your time, which I agree with in concept and in the abstract. I absolutely agree with the idea of women not wasting your time. But if I have a girlfriend and she has a flat tire, I'll go help her change the flat tire. That doesn't make me a simp or make me chase her. That means that I care about her as a human being, and I want her life. I want to assuage her of pain and suffering in her life like I would anyone else that I care about. That doesn't make me weird.
Would they disagree with that? Would they say
no? But if you in practice, I don't believe he disagrees with that. But when he describes it, it's like women wasting your time. You don't ever want to speak to any of these women. Dude, I host an animal rescue charity. There's a lot of stuff I like talking to women about because I rescue animals. We talk about that shit all the time. You can have normal conversations. I met a girl the other day. She's a Texas Longhorn fan and was talking to me about football. That shit happens. Sometimes it happens. You can have conversations with women. It doesn't mean you're a fucking simp every time you have a normal conversation with a fucking female, dude. Hey, I'd like my order. Like whatever at McDonald's. I had a conversation with a woman. I guess I'm a simp now. No, the situation is when you go back to this, he was just Alan Roger Curry's defense. I totally agree with. His offense is just basically stop wasting time. So what he does is he becomes extremely reductive and he extrapolates that to the ultimate most absurd degree. If a woman does not immediately give you what you're looking for, then go on to the next woman immediately. And so when Markus said, I'll sit there and talk to a woman for 30 minutes, any one of us who's been in this situation, who's been around a girl who we fucked who's a 10, you've talked to her for 30 minutes. It wasn't that big a deal. And it didn't make you a fucking simp because you talked to her for 30 minutes or an hour and 30 minutes. It doesn't make you a simp if you talked to her for 2 hours and then you took her back to your place, talked to her for another hour and then had sex with you. That doesn't make you weird because you fucking did that. But you're not going to bang most of the time. You're not going to bang a 10 until she feels some level of comfort. It's like the problem with the whole argument is like we've totally thrown out the idea of sexual assault or that women could be sexually assaulted. Like women aren't just going to come home with any dude, even if there is a ton of attraction. You have to build comfort. That's the second thing. He doesn't believe you can build attraction. He believes you either have it or you don't. And number two, comfort doesn't matter. If a woman's sexually attracted to you enough, she's going to lose her shit and she'll literally throw away her entire life, her children, her family, everything, her job, because she needs to fuck some guy she's hyper attracted to in a bathroom. And it's just not the case.
But Michael, there's probably a happy medium there. Like you would agree.
Of course there is.
Girls will be willing to bend some of their own rules if they really like a guy, right? Like
then some of their own rules does not equal sex 5 minutes after you meet them in a bathroom.
I agree. I think those are extreme anomalies. And out of the girls that I have fucked within like 10, I wouldn't even say 5 minutes. I'd say like 15 minutes. Specifically from cold approach, those are not like the hotter girls that I fucked. Like the hotter girls that I fucked took like maybe at least half an hour usually.
I definitely had sex with unbelievably hot women in under half an hour, but there was always some level of social proof involved.
Yeah, they probably
had
a mutual friend or something.
They saw me speaking on stage, and then they came and found me, or something, or where I was hosting a bikini competition, or was a situation where we're at a nude, like the hedonism on the nude beach on the nude side, something like that happened, where it was like in 5 minutes. That is definitely happened. Or a girl joined in on a threesome when we just met her. That's happened before. But there's some level of social proof. Meaning, if I'd come at her a different way and it was like I came up, oh man, we're in the Kroger. Oh, I'm outrageously sexually attracted to you. Let's go in the back of the Kroger and like fuck by the produce. I'm like, no, dude, at some point that we're getting into mental illness. We're getting into mental illness. I'm not saying that's never happened. What I'm saying is it's almost like saying I'm going to swing for a home run every single time I come up to the plate. If you do that, you will hit some home runs, but that is a poor strategy overall for winning games. That is a poor strategy overall.
I think we all agree on that. One thing that I had an idea that could be fun. Do you know if Lucario, does he do infield, right? He must have some infield out there.
No,
right?
I'm sure he has a ton of infield. Yeah.
Would be fun to review one of his infields and just look at his game from an analytical perspective.
My only thing is I would like Lucario to be on the call if we're going to do that, because I have a very strong rule. I don't talk shit about people if I can talk to them face to face. And so I'm not trying to what I'm trying to say is Lucario has taken Alan Roger Curry's ideas and he's extrapolated them to a point where they don't make sense anymore. Does that make sense?
Let me message him. Let's see.
Yeah. That's the only issue. They've extrapolated to the point where his ideas don't make sense. And I've read Alan Roger Curry too, and I've read all the Iceberg Slim books too. Okay, I'm fully aware of this idea. I'm just going to talk to a girl, put that pimp game in her ear. She's going to do anything I want because she's my bottom bitch. I've heard all this shit. I understand, and the idea that this works on all women all the time is just fucking lunacy. But it's also like, it's just bad. It's a very poor strategy. And it also, we haven't even talked about the fact it's going to get you in a load of shit.
Let's do this. So let's plan that for next week because it probably will take me some time. I just realized I don't have his phone number for some reason, but yeah, let's plan that for next Monday. Give people something to look forward to. We'll get Lucario on and we'll review some of his infield and we can have a discussion about it. I feel like we've beaten this horse to death as much as we can do without looking.
Let's answer some questions.
Yeah. There was one question that put up on the screen. Wait, there's actually a point.
There was one question about cheating.
This was what, but just real quick before I do that. So, Michael, what I was going to say I think there's one caveat though, and I think the caveat is if you have a guy who's like a massive nice guy, like he's just used to like just being a total pushover, that I think temporarily going to the opposite extreme can be good for that guy. But I agree that's not the end goal. But I think sometimes, like if you're just a massive nice guy, like you need to go to the other extreme and just be like probably too direct in order to meet in the middle. Would you agree or disagree with that?
Yeah, of course. I mean, but when you go to the extreme, like there's still like a level of calibration when it comes to the extreme, right? Sure. Hey, you're really like, dude, I've read it out. Now Roger Curry's book, he talks about this. He goes, hey, I just want to let you know, I find you sexually attractive. I don't want to be your play friend or he goes, what does he say? I want to be your play cousin or your play friend. I forgot the exact words that he uses. He sounds like a fucking, like when you listen to him, he's just very direct. He goes, I want to have sexual intercourse with you right now. He goes, alpha males are not interested in, no, it says it. This is in the beta male revolution. But for those of you who think that I'm just making this shit up and I have no idea what I'm talking about, I've read every single one of these books. In the beta male revolution, he talks about this concept. It goes, alpha males only communicate with women to come in their vaginas or their mouths. There's no other reason for them to ever communicate with women. I'm not kidding, bro. It says this verbatim in the book.
Daddy, I hope you're listening to this.
I've heard other guys talk about that too. Like, I think Corey Wayne talks about like the only ever reason you text a woman is to schedule plans and there's no other reason to text her, like stuff like that where you take
really Corey Wayne. He seems like a massive wait, are we talking about Coach Corey Wayne, like the white guy who seems like
yeah. I get a lot of guys who come to my program that think that.
Bro, I'm hosting on Thursday. I'm hosting a charity. I'm hosting a toy drive, guys, and I text women to come support my toy drive so I can collect toys for fucking homeless children. I'm sorry that makes me a fucking huge simp because I messaged women to come.
I don't think anyone thinks that it's a simp on here, Michael. I think you're speaking to the wrong audience. I think my chat is on board with the idea of like messaging hot girls for whatever reason. Okay, so here's the question that I skipped. Question everyone. Roughly what percentage of women do you think are cheating on their boyfriend or husbands in the USA?
So it depends on the age. So younger women actually cheat more than men do. The older you get, the more the men kind of start outpacing the women. But women are catching up, dude. They're getting closer and closer to men every single year, and no one's talking about it.
I think probably in like half of relationships, there's some infidelity that happens, some cheating. But my counter argument to this has always been that you don't want to be like the average relationship. I think the average guy does not do a good job screening. They jump into a relationship way too fast and they overlook massive red flags because they have love goggles on. And I think that if you screen very carefully, and that includes hanging out with a girl for an extended period of time, with my current girlfriend, we were hanging out for at least a year before we started dating. Actually, I think it was closer to 2 years. That's a little bit overkill. It can be like 5-6 months, but it should be months, not weeks or days. And you screen carefully and you look at things like, it's not just body count. This is like, I think what Red Pill gets wrong. They focus on the body count. But there's better metrics. I'm not saying like if her body count's 100, that's not a red flag. But I think a good metric is what her relationship is like with her family. Unless, of course, she was abused, then you would give an exception there. But also, does she have like friends that she's had for a while? Or is she constantly switching friends? I think that could be potentially the best metric out there. Like if you see a girl who's like always like every year she has new friends, then that's massive, massive red flag. Has she been able to hold down a job or is she getting a new job like every 6 months? So I think if you do all that, you screen carefully, you communicate your boundaries, and you don't put up with like blatant boundary breaking, then the odds of being cheated on like significantly decrease. But yeah, that's my
yeah. What you do in the relationship also matters a lot too. Pretty much every time I see a guy who's been cheated on, I kind of like ask him how the average week goes between him and his girlfriend or him and his wife. And if I see him, like, if he's not doing the right things every single day, like, it's only a matter of time before she either leaves or does cheat on him. Because some women, they don't really like to leave the guy. They'd rather cheat instead. But it's almost every time a woman cheats, it's almost always to do with the guy who she's with. It could be, that she comes from a bad background. Maybe she's got a lot of partners. Who knows? But a lot of the time I see it's because of the guy. And that's not to say that it's the guy's fault every single time, but it does mean that you can do certain things in a relationship that will make your partner or whoever more loyal or less loyal. And that's kind of what you do every day.
I'll give you go ahead.
No, you go, Mark.
So I'll give you the official numbers from the GSS. And of course, I don't believe these numbers. Most people
is it like 10%?
No, it's 19. So it's around 19%. Now let's just say let's be very liberal here and just say 50% of these women are lying. Let's just say it's around 29-30% of women in relationships are going to cheat at some point. And this means sexual intercourse. This doesn't mean she made out with some dude, which a lot of guys would consider that cheating. She made out with some guy at a bar. Yeah, okay. So we're counting that. This is. Did
they define that as sexual intercourse?
Yeah, they just defined it as sexual intercourse with another man outside the relationship. Okay. They said it was 13% for married. The number goes up as you get older for women, and then it was 19% for women who are unmarried. And I think that number's obviously higher, but also we're all jaded because we live in bigger cities. In bigger cities, when you're dealing with women who work in nightlife or are more attractive, maybe they work in the modeling industry, that number is going to be much higher than 19%. It's going to be probably in the 30-35%. I'm just guessing here.
Miami.
Right. Miami, I'm sure it's going to be much higher. Dude, cheating is a survival mechanism for women in Miami. They can't even afford shit. That's how they can afford to eat.
There's some good girls in Miami. Okay, they're just
survival is a survival mechanism. But if you guys like, the best data I've ever seen on this comes from Mac and Murphy. He breaks down, looks at the metadata for every one of those things, and he'll go over exactly why women cheat. But you're right. David Buss was talking about this in his TEDx talk. 20 years ago, maybe 15 years ago, where he was like, women are catching up to men as far as cheating is concerned.
Yeah.
And this has to do with the fact, and you would expect this, as women need men less, just like in approximate, not ultimately, we all need men. I need electricity. I need fucking running water. We all need men in order to make it through life. But from approximate cause, as women need men less, then you should see women like requiring their main partner less, and you should see them straying more.
Yeah. I mean, as women need like their standards or whatever, as they're going up and their need for men decreases, yeah, I would totally see that increasing in the future. I think it's only going to.
I think it's only one of the factors, though. I don't know. It probably plays a role, but I think there's other significant factors.
Absolutely, yeah.
I mean, I did a deep dive on this, and yeah, like as you guys have mentioned, like the data here, it goes from. It's like 20 to 50%, depending on like what study you're looking at. There's an old one that looked at a meta-analysis, like 50 studies that found like 24% of women cheat. But I agree, like it's hard. Obviously,
that sounds a little high to me. That sounds really
24?
high.
24?
Yeah, no, sorry, 50%. 50%.
Yeah, it depends on the study you look at. So if you're looking at studies that are like where you include cheating as he spoke to someone in a party that I didn't want to speak to or something, like did you feel cheating? It can be
okay, by that, that's
exactly
100%.
When you look at like infidelity or sexual intercourse, it drops. But yeah, the biggest reason, I agree with you guys, like this one hasn't realized, if you have an amazing relationship, that kills you of cheating, okay? Women don't cheat opportunistically like men, okay? Men, they might be out at a party or in Vegas or some shit. They might have an amazing relationship. They're more likely to cheat on the girl that way. Women, when they cheat, they usually fall in love with the other person. Usually the person they cheat on ends up being the one that they're with. So it's very different. As long as you have a good relationship, you shouldn't have to worry about cheating.
Well, Marcus, the only exception is if you didn't screen and the girl either has severe emotional issues or she's just a piece of shit.
Yes,
BPD.
BPD. There are some extreme variables here that might matter like that, like mental health and things like that. So there are personality. So if they're like more narcissistic, more open, but even these are small if you account for like a good relationship. So as long as like even lay count, if you have a good relationship with your girl, all these things basically become insignificant. They don't matter. So the biggest thing you have a control over, which is amazing. You can't change her previous leg count. You can't change like her personality traits, but the biggest thing you have control over, if you meet a girl, you guys get along, you have a great relationship, you work on that, you lead, then you shouldn't have to worry about cheating. So it's good news.
The data to back up Marcus's point, when women cheat in a relationship, they fall in love with their affair partner about 83% of the time. When men cheat, it's about 29% of the time. So when women cheat, it's to find a new head coach. When men cheat, it's to rearrange the roster. Okay. And also, when men cheat in a relationship, men who cheat and men who don't cheat show the same level of marital satisfaction. That is a really eye-opening statistic. Women who cheat 79% of the time, they show a lower level of satisfaction than women who don't cheat. Meaning there's only about 21% of women who are like, oh, I'm happy in a relationship and then I decided to cheat. It's a very rare thing. So like you said before, it's generally you as a man who are lacking in comparison to what else is going on around her. But that what's going on around her is changing now. That landscape is changing, especially as she's on OnlyFans, Patreon, Instagram, dating apps, etc. That what she has to compare you to is now also changing.
I think you might not be lacking, just the relationship sucks. Like you could have a guy who's highly accomplished, super high SMV, but the relationship is just not good. For a variety of reasons, you could be neglectful. Maybe you just kind of just start having a boring sex life. Maybe you more commonly you neglect her emotional needs, right? People just get complacent. So I think there could be a number of things. I actually have a very interesting question for you guys. Let me just quickly get to the super chat.
I got to run, you guys. I got another call I got to go to. So have fun, you guys. I'll take it.
No worries. Thanks for coming on, Lloyd. Where can people find you?
They can find me at Thesingleguy, one word, or a.single.guy on Instagram.
Dude, definitely come back next time.
Yeah, we'll come back.
Take it easy, buddy. Big thanks to the super chat to Sarah. Awesome. Thank you so much, Sarah. Appreciate you as always. So here's the question. Where would you, let's say you're in like a committed relationship, what would you consider cheating? Because I think some people draw that line like a little prematurely. Like they would say like, oh, if a girl goes out wearing something sexy or whatever, like she's cheating. Like I think some people draw that, or like she posts thirst trap photos. Where would you personally draw that line?
I think Marcus and I are going to be way far to the left on this one because of the fact that like I tend to date women who want to date women. So I like my girlfriend to dress really sexy when we go out, and I also host bikini competitions. So I like girls in bikinis because it promotes good health, fitness, fertility. Whereas a guy who might be, he's Muslim, he's going to be like, I don't like that at all. I don't ever want my girlfriend in a bikini out in public. She can only wear a one piece. So to him, cheating may be a different line than it is for me. But for me, because I really do like for us to bring women home, I'm very much into her like dressing sexy. So to me, that would not be cheating at all.
Yeah. I think when guys ask these questions or think about it, you need to do a big self-reflection on what your values are, what you want out of the relationship, and then you set those boundaries. So if you're like super, I don't know, Muslim or Christian or some shit, and you're really like religious, then you're going to feel a little bit different than I am. And that's okay. Like you can set those boundaries. But yeah, for me, I don't give a fuck if my girl's dressing up. Like I love to party, man. Like, so when I take my girl out and we go to raves and shit, I'm not like, hey, excuse me, can you please like completely cut? No, like I like to go out. I like to have fun. I like her to look good. So yeah. And like, if she's got like, even me and Michael probably disagree on this, but like if she has like male friends from childhood and shit, I have no problem with that. Like
I don't have a problem with that either.
I don't have a problem with that either.
Yeah.
So it's I feel like some guys try to protect like the cheating angle, which is I'm going to solve for cheating, not by having a great relationship, which we spoke about, but I'm going to control for it by never letting her leave the house. So like to the end, I'm going to make sure just because she's dressing up and like covering herself doesn't mean she's not going to cheat. The relationship's what matters. So for me, that's kind of where my boundaries sit, but they might be different for different people.
No, I would basically agree with what you guys said. I would say having a physical or emotional relationship with another man, that's what I would consider cheating. I don't really care how she dresses. I don't even care if she flirts with girls, as long as I'm cognizant of it. Like as long as she's not hiding it from me. I think that's where I would say is the line.
Flirts with girls as long as she does it a lot.
I think like transparency is huge. Like having
she's good at it.
both like upfront.
As long as she's good at it, that's all that matters. If she isn't, I'll train her.
I would say here's like a really kind of maybe a little bit dark tribe, but a good thing you can do in a relationship is if you suspect, you can just be like, hey, can I see your phone? And if she's like, yeah, sure, just you don't actually look at her phone. You're like, no, I'm just fucking with you. But if she's like, I don't know, then that's sus. That's just a fun little trick. that I picked up over the years, which I've certainly never used before. All right, let's get to another super chat. Mike, thanks for the Lucario analysis. I feel like I was losing my sanity in that comment section with Mass Delusion. So yeah, thanks.
Dude, if you want to pull up the comment section and look at it right now, it will drive you insane.
Yeah, we can do that.
Oh my gosh. I was like watching this and I was like, and I was responding and then realizing, no, dude, this guy actually has to know Lucario. Like, there's no way anyone in their right mind is saying what he's saying right now.
It's on Game Global.
Yeah, Game Global, yeah, under live stream.
All right, let's see what you guys are talking about here. Okay. Wild debate, Marcus Wolf. Okay, I'm gonna share my screen. It'd be funny if, like, just like now, like we look and the comment section is all just like, yeah, Marcus made some good points. Yeah,
it was Alex. It was when the thing went down. It was like that, and then afterwards, after a couple minutes, then this flood of pro Lucario messages came in.
One guy doesn't tolerate bullshit wasting time. The other guy's willing to waste more time to potentially get some play. Salute to Mr. Lucario for keeping real game alive. Respect to Lucario. Mode 1 is a win-win situation. Lucario has been in the game since 2008. He's the real deal. I don't think it really matters how long he's been in the game for. Yeah. Mr. Lucario bodied this dude so bad. 30 minutes talking to girls and say he ain't gained up.
That's too long. That's too long.
I think masculinity, I don't see Marcus. The problem with this guy, Marcus, he never really been challenged about his philosophy or ideology like he was with Lucario. Yeah, okay. This is like just
when I think of masculinity, I don't see Marcus. Mr. Lucario knows
it's like these guys wrote these with ChatGPT or something. Like, it's weird reading these.
Lucario won this one. Marcus chases, panders, and follows the lead of women based on his level of attraction towards them. 30 minutes of talking to a girl in cold approach. Are you kidding me? This guy's lost.
30 minutes is crazy. You know how many different women I can get in 30 minutes? 0. Wow, holy shit. You guys weren't kidding. I thought it was going to be like maybe leaning towards Lucario, but there would be like
it's 90%. Yeah.
It seems like so far we haven't seen a single pro Marcus comment. So far it's been 100%.
Okay, so here's the reason why. If you go and search by newest, you'll see them in a different order. What's happened is all the pro Lucario people, they liked each other's posts, so that it goes to the top. Does that make sense? So all you see, that's why you're seeing them all at the top.
Oh shit, we got the first pro Marcus one. Let's see what the replies to this. Like I said,
so you need all day. I haven't read half of this. So you need all day just to talk to 10 women. Marcus, the ultimate time waster. This is gold.
Yeah, that was funny. Interesting. All right, let's see. What should we move on to next? Would only want my chick showing off for me, not dressed sexy outside. I don't know. I guess
sure. By the way, there's nothing wrong with you wanting that. There's nothing wrong with you even thinking that's cheating. No one's saying that that's a problem. It's just different guys are going to have different beliefs. Like I do. Like I don't have a problem. It's like if you're a Muslim man, you don't want your wife leaving the house without a burqa and then being accompanied by another male relative, then she's not even allowed to go to the store. Okay, well, that's a little inconvenient. I need someone to drop the fucking kids off, so it's just different people level for different people. It doesn't make you right or wrong. It doesn't make you right or wrong, but it's just different people are going to have different levels.
There's more optimal and less optimal. My argument is that if you go too far and you're like, she can't have Instagram, she can't talk to a single guy at work or whatever, then you actually, I think, increase the likelihood of cheating. I think if you go too like fucking,
sure,
like you kind of see this in, like, for example, in Iran, right? Like they're super restrictive, but the Iranian people themselves are like very like different than the government, right? Like if you go too like hard and you crack down too much, we've seen this with like drug war and stuff like that, then you have like the opposite reaction. So I think there needs to be like a reasonable like line in the middle, and it can fluctuate. But if you go like too far in either direction, some guys go too far in the other direction where it's like, unless she's physically having sex with another guy, it's not cheating, but they'll overlook like a guy, like the girl maybe going out making out with dudes or whatever.
Yeah, so that's disrespectful, and so you should leave the relationship if that's happening, because that's just disrespectful. Now, I think actually I would say cheating, kissing some dude is probably cheating. I would say that.
I would say it's 100%.
Yeah, I would say
it's going to depend again on the relationship dynamics. Like, is the girl perceiving this as restricting, or is that how she lives her life as well? Like, is this a girl that believes in those values and is like, yes, I shouldn't do this? Or are you in a relationship where like you're going out doing whatever the fuck you want, and then you're telling your girl you can't leave the house, and you don't have the value to back it up? right? Now, if you have a lot of value and this girl's really into you, you can set a few more boundaries. But if you've got a goal where you're kind of sharing the same amount of value, you're not really chasing too hard, you haven't really built up this relationship, and now you're sitting there being like, okay, delete Instagram, you can't go out, you can't do this, then yeah, she's going to feel super restricted and probably like fight back against that. So there's a lot at play here. I agree, there's an optimal line here. For those guys that want to set more boundaries, you need to have more value. And yeah, the girl needs to feel like she's getting like a fair deal out of this as well.
Yeah, I've shared this publicly before, not often, but I think it's appropriate here. So, like, my mom is like the best human being I know, one of the kindest, like most loving people you could ever meet, like best mother ever. Like everyone who meets my mom loves my mom, way, I think, nicer than me, and I think I'm pretty nice. But she did cheat on my dad, and you know, as we got like this was a while ago, but like, you know, we've kind of talked about it, and it seems like the big part of that reason was that my dad was like very controlling. And so she basically like almost like rebelled. There's other issues. The relationship had some faulty foundations. I get that's a whole thing. Her mom was super controlling, blah blah. But yeah, and I think so. That's like, and my dad is like amazing now. But when I was growing up, he was like super controlling. Like I fucking, you know, I had to do this and that. I remember when I quit karate, my dad said, "This is the biggest mistake of your life," because I just wanted to play soccer with my friends. So yeah, I think that's something like I've just seen this example in real life when guys are just like way too controlling. It just winds up backfiring and having the opposite effect.
Sure.
Fun fact.
I have a question. I don't know if you saw this thing Pearl put out where she said, it went pretty viral. She stated, she goes, I've asked this question to thousands of women. I said, how many of you been cheated on? And she said something like 70 or 80% of them said that they've been cheated on. And then she asked them, she said, okay, how many of you guys eventually like broke up with the guy? And they were like, almost 100% of them said, well, eventually we broke up. And then she said, when you broke up, was he still cheating on you? And she's like, 80% of them said no. So she's convinced that women want men who cheat on them. Now, I'm not going to say this is a massive extrapolation. I don't think that, but I have seen a lot of women do this where they tolerate a guy who cheats on them. And then as soon as he stops cheating, then whatever, because she's got a bad line of code.
Yeah, those are just deeply troubled women though. Like,
yeah, but the problem is I don't think it's like a huge minority of women. I actually think there are a significant number of women that I've seen that tolerate cheating on a pretty high level. And then when you stop cheating on them, then they break up with you. I have seen that happen. I'm not saying it's all the time, but I have seen that happen.
I've seen that happen quite a lot too. And I think, like you said, because what I see is when I say happen quite a lot, I speak about like girls that I've been with and they tell me about this, but so it's not like thousands or something. But what I notice is a girl will get cheated on and they'll be like, fuck this, we're done, we're over, right?
Yeah.
And then the guy's like, no, I'm so sorry, like have me back, blah, blah. Like I will never do it again. And the girl's like, okay, takes him back, but obviously there's problems in the relationship. So it takes him back. They do that for X amount of time. And so he's not cheating now. He feels really bad. He's trying to like suck up to the girl. But over time, I think she kind of just comes to her senses and was like, this relationship isn't good. This guy's a jerk. He just cheated on me. So at the moment that she decides to end it, I don't think he's cheating, but like, obviously it happened before. I think a lot of girls just take guys back and then they break up later.
Or it could be that his behavior in order to try to win her back is actually so supplicant that he doesn't have any, like he just loses whatever validation or attraction she had for him previously is gone. And like to be like, because this is going to sound really misogynistic, and I don't mean it to sound like this, but there are women who find attributes in men who cheat to be attractive. We know this. There's tons of studies that show dark triad traits, they work. We would not be studying dark triad traits if they weren't effective in some way whatsoever. And what I've said before is she doesn't want you to cheat. She doesn't want you to cheat, but she doesn't want a man who couldn't. Meaning she knows that if she left you alone with like 10 super hot women, she's like, he's so fat and such a loser. I wish he'd fucking try to cheat on me. This fucking loser. You are in trouble in the relationship if that's how she feels about you.
I got the perfect example. A girl just messaged me last night and told me this. She's like, yo, I've been seeing this guy for 3 months.
What the fuck? Was it my mom?
Yeah, it was your mom. Your mom messaged me. She said, I've been seeing this guy for 3 months.
All right, I'll stop. Stop.
No, but literally, this is hilarious. Like she said, like my friend just messaged me and said like he's sleeping with some other girl. We didn't discuss about being exclusive. I was thinking about ending it anyway because I didn't see a long-term thing with him now. But now I'm just angry that he wasn't obsessed with me and I kind of want to like continue seeing him now. So yeah, there is an element here that something like that can happen. But this is not like a prescription to be like, oh, all guys should go out and cheat now, because you're gonna have a net negative here. As Michael said, you want to show the ability that you're attractive, and if you wanted to cheat, you could, but you want to show that restraint. Like that's what women would find even more attractive. Otherwise, you're just ruining relationships.
Yeah, because discipline. I think though an important thing, I would say those relationships were kind of fucked from the beginning. It's just like unhealthy behaviors, which I agree. A lot of women do have, and a lot of men have. But like, if you're with a girl who would actually like you more if you cheated on her, I'm not talking about forgive you, that's different, but who will actually like that's a positive for her, then that relationship is going to fail at some point anyway. I would also argue that I would also argue that like a big thing is resentment. And I think that's like one of the biggest killers in a relationship. So yeah, a lot of women do take men back, but I think a lot of the time they also build up resentment, and that resentment eventually just like starts growing, and then it just bubbles over. And I think that there's three assets. There's you, the girl, and then the relationship. And you can be awesome, the girl can be awesome, but for whatever reason you have a lot of resentment in the relationship because someone cheated or because this or that happened, then that relationship is gonna like ruin. Like I think once you get to a certain like level of resentment, like the just relationship is a ticking time bomb and it's gonna fail at some point anyway. And yeah, I think people may forgive in the moment, but they still build up resentment.
Yeah, 100%. Because then everything just comes back to that, right? Like I've seen this in relationships where, yeah, you know, it's very common, right? Like you'll have a disagreement, but that resentment will be like, oh, but that time this happened. Yeah, you're kind of just fucked unless you deal with it and move on from it.
Yeah, I think I think the relationships are like in some ways they require additional skills that you don't get just picking up girls. Because I've learned from every relationship I've had. But one of the biggest things I've learned from my current relationship is to not start things off on shaky grounds. And I would say, like for me, I don't lie, but I have a tendency sometimes to like exaggerate or like not exaggerate, but sweep things under the rug. And so I think that like starting off on like a foundation where you're not 100% like upfront and transparent with each other may seem like it's something small, but then over time it can become a big thing. So just kind of preventing things before they even happen, I think is also a big part of a relationship.
Yeah, I think, dude, this is what guys don't realize. I think when it comes to like retention, relationship management, so I include like fuck buddies within this, and then, you know, relationship management when you're actually in like a serious relationship is very different to game. Like game teaches you a lot of great skills, obviously. But yeah, I've seen even coaches where they can be really good at pulling like a girl. Yeah, exactly. But then you ask them about retention and they're like, yeah, I can't see girls for 3 months. Like I fucking struggle. So yeah, it is almost like a different skill set in itself to
I know a lot of people like that too. I won't name any names. Yeah. Here's an interesting question for you guys. I get asked this question from time to time, and I don't even have like the best answer to this. What is the longest you think, on average, that you can be just friends with benefits with a girl? Like a lot of people believe that eventually those relationships are gonna fall apart because the girl is gonna meet someone that she wants to be in a serious relationship with. So, from your perspective, like again, this is gonna depend on the girl, but on average, what do you think is like the life of a friends with benefits type of thing?
You're right. It depends on the girl. I would say between like 1 to 3 years, typically from experience, right? But it depends on the girl. What I mean by that is she's like 19 or some shit and she's not interested in a relationship anytime soon. Yeah, you can be seeing this girl for years, right? Because there's not going to be a time where she's like, I really want to get in a relationship. If you're dating someone a little bit older, or at least with different views, that I was like, listen, I've had girls like this where they're like, I'm looking to get married and have a kid. It's like, well, not with me, but we can hang out until then, right? And then they'll be messaging me and be like, oh yeah, I went on a date with this guy. It was kind of shit, like blah, blah. These will be shorter. These might be like 6 months because now they've met someone, they've started dating them. But what you'll find is maybe like 6 months after that, you get another message and they're like, hey, what are you up to? And then I've got so many girls on my Instagram now that I see having kids and shit. I'm like, that was my old fuck buddy from years ago. And like now so yeah, I would say
this kid kind of looks like me a little bit. I don't know.
No, none of that. So yeah, it's usually, I would say like 1 to 3 years, but it just depends on the girl's context. At one point, the value that you have to offer, as amazing as it fucking is, it's usually not going to outweigh that girl's drive to be in a serious committed relationship and have a kid. And you just can't offer that. No matter how many orgasms you're giving her, no matter how cool you are, like at some point she's going to decide that over you. And it might be temporary, but that will happen.
What's the longest you ever had friends with benefits for?
Like 5 years.
Okay.
5 years. Yeah.
That's a pretty long time. Okay, what do you think about this, Michael? Michael, you're not connected.
Oh.
We can't hear you.
Stand by. Hold on.
Yeah, there you go.
No, yeah, okay. I thought Michael was just making weird faces, but it seems like he was trying to talk the whole time, but his mic was not connected.
Hang on, it's cut out again, Michael.
Michael, we can't hear you again. I don't know if he's like maybe doing something, but yeah, your audio is not coming through, Michael. Okay.
Oh, hang on. You look like you muted on. You looks like you muted on this software, whatever it is.
Now he's unmuted now.
You guys hear me now?
Yeah, now we go.
Yeah.
So 2 years and 8 months was the longest for me. I'm still friends with her. We're pretty cool. But the thing is, what Marcus said, there was one girl who's crazy. One girl I hooked up with in college. The only time it's ever happened in my life. We hooked up in college. I was 23. We hooked up again when I was 43. Like we were both 43. It was like what Marcus said. And in between, she'd been married. She fucking had several relationships. But because I was the dude who didn't count, which is what friends with benefits are, a lot of times girls won't even count friends with benefits dudes on their leg count. They won't. It's like some girls don't even count threesomes on their leg count. But the main thing what Marcus said was, I remember this one girl, Natalie, like we hook up for a couple weeks, and then she'd be like, "Hey, I started seeing some guy," and I really appreciated the fact that she was like honest with me about it. I was like, "Okay, cool," and I would jokingly say, "6 months," but it wouldn't even be 6 months. It'd be like 2 or 3 months. Because there's like mechanisms in this girl that would not allow her to be in a healthy relationship. So I knew she'd come out of it. And I was always the place she could go to have guilt-free, judgment-free sex. Where she didn't feel like a slut, but she would always come back. And she always knew she was going to have good sex. So it was never an issue. And I always had really good logistics. I lived on the Strip in Vegas. So she would this girl was a stripper. She'd strip at the Rhino and she would just come over to my place afterwards whenever the relationship just floundered or didn't work. And she'd complain to me about the guy. But it was like, this happened 4 or 5 times over the course of multiple years. And that's what happens when you're kind of the guy who doesn't judge her and doesn't count, is that that's essentially what happens over and over again.
Michael, your audio kind of went to shit.
Oh man, really? Is it bad?
We can hear you.
Oh, that's better.
Yeah, whatever you just
can hear me okay now?
Yeah,
perfect.
That's all better.
Okay.
Whatever you do is good. Okay, here's a follow-up question to this. So I've always argued that the best relationship strategy is to start off as fuck buddies and then see if it naturally happens. I have never. I'm on my 5th serious relationship right now. I have never had a relationship ever that didn't start off as fuck buddies. Never has once happened. What do you guys think about this?
Dude, I couldn't agree more. Like I have something that I call like the relationship funnel. I think we did a live on this recently, but it's you need to be able to screen the girl and know who you're like committing to. And when I say committing, even to the level of like, this is my fuck buddy, this is a serious fuck buddy, this is like an open relationship, like whatever it is, like you need to be able to identify that. And it's not just through time, it's through like behaviors. So you need to start off in a very casual dynamic where you can start to identify who is this girl, like what do I like about her, what are these behaviors, I need to run these tests. And then if she passes them, you can upgrade it. The other advantage of this is you're not super emotionally invested. Like I see students get in a relationship after 1 week and then they're devastated 2 weeks later. And I'm like, how are you this sad from knowing a girl for 2 weeks? And it's because they've emotionally invested as much as this girl was like their 6-year marriage or some shit. And also it allows to set up the right dynamic, because it's not just about picking the right girl and getting in the relationship. It's doing it under the right dynamic where she realizes, I need to pass these tests. I need to chase after him. I need to try and make this happen. I need to invest in this relationship. So I literally don't think there's any other way to go about it other than starting off as fuck buddies. I think it's the best way to do it.
Michael?
Yeah. I mean, I think another way to say that is that when you start off having sex with them, there's no defined boundary, meaning the opposite of what you're saying, Alex, is no, I'm going to date her for 2 months. And then when I have committed to her and she's got a promise ring from me, then I shall be allowed sexual access at that point. That's a terrible way to do it, because what it means is she doesn't have enough genuine desire to overcome the rules that she's made for you. So I think the idea of starting off as a fuck buddy works because she's breaking rules that she would have made for other people. She's allowing you sexual access without commitment. And in doing that, other men, she makes them commit first. right? So that's why what it means is you're starting on the relationship on the right foot. She's super into you. She's showing you genuine desire because she's willing to do that. So in general, generally, like for instance, my last relationship, we started off, we did not define this as a relationship. We just started having sex first, and then after a while defined it a relationship. But at no point did we say fuck buddy. But I guess that's probably what it was. You could say it, that's what it was, but we never called it that.
Yeah.
Yeah, good point. I think the behaviors set the tone, right? Like I don't often sit down with a girl because I've had this before where I remember I slept with this girl. It was actually in a threesome, and I slept with her the next time. And then she asked me, she goes, so it was the second time we met. She's like, so what are we? And I go, what do you mean? She's like, well, could we be fuck buddies? Like, is that okay? Like, I'll come around like once a week or like once every 2 weeks. And I was like, this is the first time I've had a girl ask me, like, what are we? So I was like, can we please be fuck buddies? But yeah, I think like you set those behaviors, right? You don't show over commitment. You only see it like once a week, for example. You don't like be texting every single day. And yeah, you don't need that conversation to begin with. You set through the behaviors. I agree with that.
I think just what I see time and time again, even with guys who have good game, is they jump into relationships way too fast. I don't know if I've ever seen a case of someone jumping into a relationship way too slow. I've never seen that, but I do see all the time. Again, guys who are like actually have like triple digits body count, just jumping relationships way too fast, and then learning things later on. They're like, well, fuck. I shouldn't have done this.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think just my general advice for everyone just to slow things down. You can always like get into a relationship later, but you can't go back in time and do it the other way. That's always been my advice for everyone. What is the difference between persistence and neediness when it comes to texting? So that people away from double texting video. A huge part of it is just how long you wait, and also the substance of your text. So, for example, you text the girl and you say like, "Hey, we should grab a drink sometime soon." And let's say you double text her like 2 hours later, and you say like something like, "Is that okay with you?" or something like that. That'd be pretty needy. But let's say you wait like 2-3 days and you hit her with a takeaway, like "Don't be shy" or something like that. So it's the substance and it's also the timing. I think that's what makes that separation.
I got a couple of suggestions. I'm curious what you guys think about this. So first, if I text a girl, and like, especially this is one girl I've been sleeping with for a while, she didn't write back immediately. The next morning I woke up and I put the little question mark on. I just put, the little question mark sticker on iChat. And so it puts my message to her at the top of the queue. She immediately responded. So she had a family member that was sick, went to the hospital. That's why she did it. So it wasn't at the top of mind. It was an unread message. So I found instead of double texting, using the little exclamation point or the question mark or the heart or the laughing emoji. And I don't know if you've seen on the new iOS, you can choose any emoji, or you can make a sticker. I've made a sticker of girls and then sent them their own emoji as the sticker before. They thought it was pretty funny. So that's the first thing. Second thing I'll tell you is if it has to be something like that, I think I'm pretty good at talking. I'll by the way, take your AirPods off if you do this. You want to use the inboard microphone on your iPhone. You don't want to use your AirPod microphone. I would go in there and I would leave a voice memo. Here's why the voice memo is kind of clutch. Because if she keeps it, you get an indication that she kept. Say she doesn't have read receipts on, you're going to know she kept it. If she kept the message and did not respond to you, well, then this is over. Just don't even fucking talk to this girl again. That means she listened to your message and didn't respond. But if she doesn't listen to your message, it disappears after 30 minutes. So you don't physically see a double text. Does that make sense?
Uh-huh.
So the voice memo is kind of clutch. And then the third one, the one I really like is, I've said before, I'll message a girl to come to an event. She doesn't respond. I'll unsend the previous message before I send her something else like a month later. The unsend feature only works on Instagram. You can do undo send on iMessage, but it leaves an artifact. And that I mean, it's not that big of a deal. Or the edit feature. I've done the edit feature before where I've edited it to just be a zero.
I think,
so like,
Michael, there's a time limit on it. I think it's like 48 hours, right? That you can do. Yeah.
For what?
For iMessage. So
for my iMessage, I think you have 5 minutes to unsend, and then you have like 10 minutes to edit.
Yeah.
I think that's how it works. So that if you guys don't want to double text, what I found is, and by the way, here's another thing you do. You can actually question mark a message that she sent you way back up there, and it still puts your message at the top of her queue on her iMessage. It's just a way to get to the top of mind if that's something that you have to do. Because, dude, like a lot of times girls make excuses, but sometimes crazy shit happens, especially somebody like me. I'm around girls a lot, and I've seen them. They're just like fucked up, and they look at their phone and they check.
People get busy, man.
And they just get busy. And so
I forget to
this is
respond to
something I
my
found
friends all the time sometimes.
Yeah, 100%. Like, I think the first thing I want all guys to do is just ask themselves that question, which is, why hasn't she responded? Because I think so many guys are just quick to be like, what's the default like second message I have to send? And is this needy or not? It's like, let's just first understand why. Like, was your previous message super uncalibrated, right? Were you just like, hey, come over, I want to show you my penis or something, right? Like, if that's no double message there is probably going to fix that problem, right? You're like, you need to ask yourself, what
Wait, hang on. That's the standard PW of Texas. Hey, you want
okay, I'm so sorry. I'll take that back. But if you, figure out why. And then if there's no real reason and you think it's just because maybe she didn't see it, then I agree. Something like really low investment, really not needy, just a question mark would be cool. If you think there's an objection there, something like Alex mentioned, which is like, you're a little bit shy, and then she can come out and be like, well, no, it's not the shyness, but I am on my period, or I got lace going on, or whatever it might be. If you're just lacking value, then maybe you don't want to double text. Maybe you just want to wait the month and then send another message after that, or like have her see your stories or whatever it might be. But yeah, there's just that first step of just having an understanding as to why that girl hasn't double text is going to really build up the interest to actually what to send after that, as opposed to just like picking one thing and going for it.
Yeah, but Marcus, I would argue sometimes, even a lot of the time, you just don't know, especially if it's a guy who has like limited game knowledge. Like sometimes you do everything right and the girl just doesn't respond, and it could be just simply because she forgot. That's what happens a lot.
Yeah, 100%. Like in that case, something low investment, like the question mark or don't be shy, I think is fine. I agree. Half the time you won't, but I just want the guys to get into that process of at least thinking about it. Go back in their messages, be like, did I build value? Is this girl chasing a little bit? Did I go for that close too early? What was my last message? At least like having some form of reflection, even if it's a guess, and then later on you have to confirm with like someone like yourself in your group, would be like what I just want all guys to start doing, instead of just like, oh, she hasn't responded, I'm going to send this same message that I usually send, you know?
Yeah, but I would also add, like, I think there's a weird stigma against double texting, and especially triple texting, where it's like, dude, simping. But some of the hottest girls I've ever hooked up with, especially from dating apps, I've had to double and triple text at times. And the dynamic flips once you have sex with a girl, and they typically become a lot more receptive, unless you have like a tiny dick or something. But yeah, so like I think that that's the like I just think about the hottest girls I've hooked up from dating apps, and the overwhelming majority of them I had to at least double text and sometimes triple text. And it doesn't have to be needy if you do it the correct way. So yeah, I mean, like you want to just have an ego thing where you just never double text. It's fine.
Yeah, that's what they're doing in the chat. They're all like, "There's never need to double text." I'm like, well, I mean, if guys are doing it and they sleep with hot girls, then what you're saying is objectively wrong. You can double text and have some success. You're right. In a vacuum, it's better to not do it than to do it. You're right, but sometimes like I run a business and I have so many people that'll message me, and then I'll just like check the message and I'm about to write them back, and then someone else messages me and I don't go back to the other message. It wasn't because I was trying to be disrespectful. Shit happens. There's so much stimulus in people's lives, and so women have more stimulus in their lives than we do. And the thing is, if what happens is if you did it and then it never worked, then you would have a point. But the problem is it works too often for you to say that you should never do it.
Yeah, we 1,000% know there's girls out there that have an objection that you can double text and then deal with it, that have just missed the message and you can double text and now they see it. Like 1,000%. It happens so common that if you're just avoiding ever double texting just as a blanket rule, you're missing out on a fuck ton of women. So, I mean, you can keep doing it and feel great about it and tell yourself like, I'm not needy, but at the end of the day, you end up with no women.
Well, one thing I'll do is like, I'll do the unsend feature. And then I put the girl at the back of the line. So for me, let's just say I have some like personal messages. We go back and forth. As soon as I don't get the message back that I want, I'll unsend the previous message, and then I'll invite her to a mass event that I invited a million other girls to the back. And that has worked really well for me, because then she's like, hey, how are you? She's like, starts messaging back, because she understands you're not special anymore. You are now another girl that gets the mass invite to come to the Maxim party, which she still wants to come to the Maxim party because that's probably where I met her. But it's one of these situations where I just put them at the back of the line. I'm not gonna sit there and continue to reward that.
Awesome. Yeah, I think a lot of it depends on what level of abundance you have and how many matches you're getting. How much. Yeah, I think that there's some factors there. If you're like just swamped with like hot girls, then why even bother, right? Like if you have just other ones. Let me quickly address this. I don't think it's efficient double text our opportunities. So if you do want to double text and determine when you are going to do it, I mean, you just wait a few days. Sometimes what I'll do is I'll just like fucking, if I'm trying to get laid, I'll have like just, I don't know, a dozen girls I'm talking to. And at some point, like maybe half of them will drop off. And I'll just wait like 2-3 days. And then I'll just double text all of them, sometimes with almost the same exact text. It's so quick to double text. It's really just takes like 5 seconds. I mean, if you really need to think about it, it could take 30 seconds, but it's so quick. And you can just knock out a bunch at a time. And then I'll double text like 5 girls, and like 2 or 3 of them will respond to that, and I'll get a date with 1 or 2 of them. So it's really not time consuming at all. I would argue it's more time consuming to match with another girl and build everything up from scratch, especially if you're at a point where you've already switched over to text and you're already setting up the date. I would argue it's going to take more work to just restart from scratch. I mean, sometimes you have to. Sometimes, like, I think also another important factor is how much is the girl investing. Actually, I think that's the biggest part of this. If a girl has been investing a lot of energy into the conversation, sending you pretty long texts, and then she forgets to respond, that is definitely elite. That's worth following up on. That's it's criminally stupid to let that go. Versus if a girl's giving you one-word answers and she stops responding, you probably do want to move on because she probably is a waste of time. So I think like her level of investment must be the key component in your decision how far you're going to pursue.
And I think it's a good idea to try to get her off the app as well. If you have momentum, you have compliance. Like if she's stuck on like Tinder or Hinge or some shit, it's more likely she's going to miss your message. So getting her off that app on a different messaging service would be a good way to prevent that too.
Yeah, I'll give a specific for that. I do agree with you on that. 2 takeaways, they're good, is a woman, a few words I see, or are you always this talkative? And typically, if a girl doesn't check her app much, she'll just respond to that and be like, yeah, sorry, I don't check this much. As soon as you get that, you want to move it off the app and move it to text. I think in general, you want to always move it to text before the date. But especially something like that, you definitely want to get off the app. Because I think going to text creates an additional buffer of investment. And I think it just lowers your chances of being flaked on. Because the girl's probably talking to like 30, 40 guys on Tinder, but she's not texting 30, 40 guys. She's probably texting like maybe like 5 or 7 guys. So you just kind of like enter a new level of, I guess, investment. Let's do a few more questions. Mm-hmm. What are some places to practice cold approach when most of your work is nights and weekends? I work a blue-collar job. I think it's a better question for you, Marcus.
What are the best places to call? I mean, wherever the most women are, it's going to be different in every city, right? Like, obviously, you can pick places like malls. You can pick places like financial districts. You can pick, like, if you're in a touristy spot, there are some nice places there. Parks, like, wherever there's a high traffic of women, that's where you want to go. It's going to be different in every city. The other option here is depending, like, what hours you're working, is you can find, like, bars that do, like, after-work drinks, for example. So... yeah, exactly. And they're actually really awesome places to game because not many people are gaming there. The girls aren't like super wasted or drunk or anything. It feels like a day game, night game mix where you kind of get the best of both worlds. You will have to deal with a little bit more of like, these are my work colleagues and social circle shit. But if you're good in group sets, that's perfect. So I would really recommend like afterward drink spots. But yeah, just find out where's busy in your city.
Yeah, happy hour is highly, highly underrated.
All right, so...
yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So here's what I do. We the term we call the Instagram rabbit hole. So I'm going to start on Instagram at whatever the best nightlife spots are, and I'm going to look at which girls those spots follow. Number 1. Okay. Number 2, I'm also going to look for the best restaurants that have like the coolest bar. So you're going to look at whatever the nicest hotel in your city is, and you're going to look at whatever bar is there if they have like a swanky restaurant. So here at the Aria, you would look at Catch, you would look at Toca Madera, you would look at Mastro's. These are like really high-end places. Same thing with Beauty and Essex. You would look at SDK here, and then you would see who they follow or who likes the photos for that particular place. That's what I would do. Then what you want to eventually do is see who those girls. When you see a girl, it's going to show you other girls that are like associated with that girl, other girls that she likes, and then the other one. This is my favorite one. Whenever I see guys who go out, they're like promoters, whatever. I'll look at the girls that like that photo, and those are generally girls who go to the places where the hot girls are. I know it seems a little convoluted, but the hot girls in a city generally don't go to 2 or 3 places. They go to 1 or 2. They don't go to 5 or 6. There's generally like in every club, every city, there's one club that is going to have hotter girls and then everywhere else. And so, or one location that's going to have hotter girls than everywhere else. And you can find that. I just use it as almost like an investigative strategy through social media. Then later on, once you have a girl who's like, I have some friends of mine that are huge published models. And so whenever there's the Super Bowl or F1 is here or whatever, first thing I ask them is which parties are you going to? Because I know those girls are only going to be at the best parties. They'll tell me, and then that's where I'm going to end up. I don't have to make any decisions there. That's what I have. One friend of mine, she's like she won the $100,000 bikini competition. She's like a Ukrainian runway model. Whenever there's a huge event coming to Vegas, I say, hey, where are the spots you're going to? She tells me, and I know those are the best spots to go to.
Yeah, Dawson, I've answered this question a few times. How do you get your deep voice? For me, it was testosterone. I never think, when I'm talking to a girl, I never think like, okay, let me make my voice deeper. Yeah, contrary to popular belief, when I make videos, I never think that either. I'm focused on like what I'm gonna say. When I do videos, I do like to project my voice, so that makes it a bit deeper. But obviously, you don't have to do that most of the time when you're talking to a girl. So yeah, I don't think it's gonna be productive when you're talking to a girl to focus on your voice. I think also it depends on your genetics and hormones. I don't know. What do you guys think about this?
Yeah, I think basically what you have to do is every single time I'm just fucking with you. You just make sure that you're not going super high in your range. Like every guy has a different range of their voice, and so you can look at someone maybe on the radio and be like, "How do I get a voice like him?" But it's just not going to happen. It's like looking at someone and being like, "Hey, bro, how do I be more tall? Can you teach me to be more tall?" Like you have a range to your voice. As Alex said, make sure you get your T checked and shit like that. But otherwise, just make sure when you're nervous and you're like speaking to a girl that you're not taking like really short breaths and your tonality is going up. That makes it sound like really high. As long as you're doing that, you're taking big breaths, you're speaking from your diaphragm, you're doing the things you can, then you'll be sweet. You focus on everything else that you have more control over. But yeah, you can only work within your range. So do that.
If you're low on testosterone, which I recommend every guy does a detailed hormone panel. It's kind of a meme at this point. Check your vitamins, check your minerals, check your hormones. And it's not just testosterone. Check your thyroid, check your IGF-1. There's a bunch of tests that you want to do, your cortisol. But yeah, like for me, I mean, you guys have seen the transformation video. I mean, More Place, More Dates literally did a video on my voice talking about what it was before and after TRT. I'm kind of a little bit of an outlier. I don't think most people have that extreme of a transformation, but I was low in testosterone like pretty much all my life. I mean, I don't know, when I was like 7, maybe it was good, but ever since I started doing blood work, so just getting, and it's not like I abuse testosterone. I take like a therapeutic dose, fairly low dose actually, and that played a huge role in my voice. So sometimes it can just be as simple as that. I mean, look, if your testosterone is optimal, I'm not saying you should get on TRT, but there is definitely going to be a strong correlation between people's voices being too high and, generally speaking, their testosterone levels. So, yeah, I think that's an important thing. Talk about the money spending issue on your last video. I mean, what specifically is the question, I suppose? I mean, I just made a video. I was talking about how much does dating cost, and I'd argue that it's not really expensive. You need a Tinder subscription if you're going to do dating apps. You need to be able to pay for Ubers, and you need to be able to buy a bottle of wine that you keep in your like fucking refrigerator, or be able to afford like one drink at a bar. So I always argue that dating is not expensive, and that actually spending more money on dating is not going to help you and can sometimes work against you if you spend too much money on girls. It's not like if you spend more money on the date, you're going to have a better outcome. Sometimes I see the opposite of that. But yeah, what do you guys think about that?
I mean, I agree. You can be fucking broke and make this shit work. Even if you're doing social circle, there's ways to go about it. If you're doing night game, there's ways to go about it. I mean, you can find venues that are free entry. Even if you're doing dates, there's ways to go about it. I've seen some fucking tight-ass students that wouldn't even buy the bottle of wine, okay?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, obviously, the more money you invest in this, like anything else, like you can shorten your time. So, like, paying for coaching is a huge, bro. If I could go back, holy fuck. If I could coach myself, okay, I could go back and pay for my own coaching. Holy shit, would I save so much time? So yeah, I mean, there's investments you can make into yourself that is going to like cut that time frame down. But if you want to spend literally $0, you can do it and get good.
I would buy $2 wine. That's funny. Yeah. Like here in Vegas, there's always these creative things you can do. We have Atomic Golf here, which is fucking insane. It's like this. It's almost like an obstacle course / maze that's a mini golf course, and then we also have Area 15 that's got this like other maze inside of it, and there's like venues, and these are free to go to. you know, and they're really inexpensive. There's a bunch of really fun dates that you can take girls on. I think Top Golf is $50 an hour for a bay, and that's you can take 8 people. I like to go there with like a bunch of girls, or you can go what's it called, axe throwing for maybe like $35 an hour, something like that. There's a bunch of ways that you can inexpensively go on a date.
Plus, if you're holding an axe in your hand, it's like the implication, right? It's like, hey, listen, it's not like you're going to actually do anything with the axe, but it's just the implication.
It's a good compliance tool, yeah.
I would argue though that on the first date you want to keep it as like stupid simple, unless you got game dialed down, in which case it doesn't matter. You can like fuck around with it. But I would argue for like beginners, just limit yourself to either a walk or even better, having her come over or drink at a relatively inexpensive bar or coffee if you or her doesn't drink. And I would just keep it really simple on the first date. So there's like less for you to focus on, and ideally go to a bar that you've been to before. I think guys, I see this a lot actually. Guys get tripped up based on the seating that they have at a bar. It's like, oh shit, the seating was like this. I didn't know what to do. So if that's the case, you can just take your chair and just literally move it. That's what I do. Yeah. All right. Let's do maybe like 2 or 3 more questions.
Sure.
Hey, first time randomly came here after meeting Alex from UMP and Cubano last year. He's the real deal. I know like 4 10s he has fucked. When I first read this, I thought like 4s through 10s.
That's right.
Exposed.
You know it's like what Justin Waller says, 80 or 280.
4 10s. Yes, looking forward to joining the group when I'm back in Poland. Nice. Yeah, I saw Lindbergh when he was in Miami. Good dude. Let's see. How does Alex Markus run a night game at a club to close that night? I don't go to clubs. I haven't been to a club in over a decade. I don't like clubs. They're extremely unenjoyable for me. Also, I have even though my voice sounds deep, my voice goes out really, really easily if I have to talk loudly. So every time I've gone to a club, I've lost my voice within 20 minutes. Just weird genetic thing, I suppose. So, but I'm just assuming you mean the word club loosely. When I go to a lounge, I mean, like, yeah, I mean, I think the general formula is you approach the girl, you build attraction, you isolate, which I think a lot of guys forget to do. When you isolate, you build as much sexual tension, and then you go for the pull. Logistics will play a role. Stuff like that will play a role. Most of the girls I fucked from bars were not same night lates. They were, I got her number, and then we met up on a date, and then I fucked her that same night. But yeah.
Yeah, I'd say like fairly similar. Oh, yeah, go, Michael.
No, you go. You go.
Okay, yeah, I'd say like fairly similar. I'd, building attraction. I'd look to show sexual understanding, sexual authority. The big thing is the objection handling. Like, I feel like the attraction is half the game. The other half of the game is objection handling. So sitting in the pool, finding out what's actually holding it back from going home with you that night, dealing with those objections. That's like a structure. From an overall like meta angle of like the club game is, usually the first part of the night, I'm just going around building some like pre-selection, chatting to a bunch of girls. And really what I'm trying to do is screen, like, which one of these girls do I want to take home and spend more time with? And as I do that, I'm obviously like warming up, building pre-selection. And then I kind of decide from there. Whereas, Alex or Swift, who I work with, they might be a little bit more direct in that. They just like pick the one girl and go in on that group. So you can choose what you want to do. But yeah, Mike, what did you want to add?
Yeah, I love nightclubs. I love them too much. It's fucking weird how much I love them. I love going to nightclubs with 20 or 30 girls at the same time. I speak nightclub. Whatever it is with my voice, girls can hear me. I fucking love being on stage with different DJs. Now, the thing about it is I recognize that most people don't like it. And I've been teaching people for years, like how to get in the mood when you go in there to take the motherfucker over. Whenever I go to a nightclub, it reminds me playing high school football. Like I would just want to dominate. I just really, really enjoy it. For me, the best thing I will tell you to do that I've found that works the best for me is go there with a bunch of girls. If you go there with a bunch of girls, have some hosts that get set up where you're at an industry table, go on the weekdays. If you do that regularly, I've just found, again, nightclubs are not a great way to meet a girlfriend. Nightclubs are definitely are like, there's a bunch of obstacles in your way. But if you want to consistently meet a bunch of hot girls that you could end up sleeping with, getting really good at nightclubs is something that that's the main thing. Not the main thing I teach, but it's definitely one of the things I teach, guys. I'm 47 years old, and like there's not a nightclub in this whole country that I can't just walk into, get in wherever I want. And it's not because I'm famous; it's because I've met the GMs of every single one of these nightlife venues, and I'm telling you, dude, it is one of the greatest hookups. Like to meet people, to like if Markus and if Marcus and Alex came to Vegas, I easily just walked them on stage. We're like with Tiesto, like no problem whatsoever. And like having that level of abundance, what happens is now I have 6, 7, 8 girls with me at the same time. And it just works out really well. I mean, you guys go to my Instagram, you'll see like photos of me with 30, 40, 50 girls.
Nice. I want to meet Leonardo DiCaprio. Could you pull that one off? That would be awesome.
One of my clients is his host. I'll show you a video. One of my clients parties with him. He's his host. He's a club promoter in Manhattan, and he became friends with Leonardo DiCaprio. And he sends me videos. I just want to talk to him about
Blood Diamond and how great of a movie that was.
Hold on. There is a guy who said in the chat that people don't believe that I have a 4'11". Yeah. Okay, don't show the video, but I wanted you, Alex, to at least see it to know that I'm not making this up. The thing is, he doesn't want people to see his personal business, but like if you look at the video,
let me watch it. Okay. Is it a problem if there's going to be audio in the background if I'm watching?
No, it's not a problem. It's not a problem. I just want you to show. That's my client. He's 4'11". What is he doing?
This dude is definitely short as fuck. He's dancing with a attractive girl. Let's see. She's like kind of grinding on him. Yeah. That's basically the gist of it. Yeah.
That's it. I'm not going to show the video. That's his fucking personal life. I'm not going to do it. But yes, I have a client who's 4'11" who is dating super fucking hot women because pre-selection and social proof trumps everything else. That's why.
Well, you would admit that like those cases are much harder than like.
Oh, of course, definitely. Which is why people like are blown away whenever they meet him. There's definitely harder, but like I have, whenever we do case studies, my first 10 case studies are Indian guys under 5'7".
Oh,
yeah,
interesting. Where do you recommend meeting attractive women in northeastern cities in the winter? I'm not in NYC meetup. It's just guys. Where do you recommend meeting attractive northeastern cities? I did grow up in northeast. I went to BU, Boston University.
That's where Jason Strauss went to. That's crazy.
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
Yeah. I when in Boston, I would go to bars in the wintertime. I would just like, I don't know. I would wear a jacket and shit. So
I have a recommendation that these new things that are popping up that people seem to be like meeting a bunch of girls at are these running clubs. I know, running is a big deal in Boston, right? So I would probably start with it's probably going to be cold as shit. It's a part of the time, but Boston's a beautiful city and probably not the best dating environment. The other thing is my Tristan, one of the guys in my program, he's throwing events in Boston like every week now, and he's sending me pictures of it. And it's like, if you know exactly how to build enough social proof, you can make the girls come to you.
Yeah, I would like, I remember, again, this was when I was much younger before I even knew about pickup, but I would go to bars and just house parties all the time. I guess if you're old, probably you're not getting into a college house party, or it'd be weird if you were there. But yeah, I would go to bars, and that's where I would mingle with people. Trust me, Boston parties just as hard in the winter, almost as hard in the winter time. Like you go out in January, February in Boston to a popping place on like a Friday night, it'll be popping. Like it's gonna be like it's not like you're gonna not see girls there. People go out in these big cities like Boston, New York, whatever. All right, let's do like maybe I want to just get through one or two more. Can I ask, when you meet a girl off an app, do you go for the kiss on the first date? It's hard to tell if the girl's into you if you meet a girl through cold approach. I guess I will always 100% of the time go for the kiss on the first date. I think that if you don't, the girl will lose respect and think you're a pussy.
I probably wouldn't. I get what you're saying. Like, I think you use go for a kiss, and the same idea is like make a move, which I agree with. It's just the kiss itself wouldn't be like the move that I make on the first date. Is I'd be looking to close, and so I want to build like sexual tension. Usually I'm going to do that verbally with the girl. And if I am going to kiss, I'm going to do it in a way that builds that tension. So I'll make out with her for a little bit. I might pull her hair or have my hand around her throat, and then push her back a little bit and be like, "Hey, that's all you get." Okay.
No, so I get all that, but you'll probably be making out with the girl at some point, like at least when you're fucking.
So it's sometimes like I would say half the girls that I've closed, I probably haven't made out with, and the ones that I do is probably make out with after sex or like during sex.
So here's
normally there. I'm just saying, like, don't be the guys like trying to seek the make out. I would like have
it's a means to an end. It's not an end.
So this was something I noticed a couple of times, and then I talked to Dan B about this, and it's happened to him often, where you have sex with a girl you never kiss. This has actually happened quite a few times, or you have a threesome with a girl and one of them you don't kiss. So what happens is we think of the kiss as first base, I've had situations before where I never kissed a girl and she ends up like giving me a blowjob like before we ever kiss, and we end up not kissing at all. So that's why, like, for me, it looks like this. So this scale is sexual tension. Sexual tension is always going to rise during the interaction. And here's physical escalation. Physical escalation is like this, and then we're alone, or at least we're in a place where she doesn't feel like a slut. Physical escalation will then meet sexual tension right here at the place where we have sex. Does it make sense? What we don't want to do is sit there and try to pump buying temperature, physically stimulating her in a nightclub. And guys get this wrong. Girls are rubbing their ass on the dude in the nightclub. They're like, oh man, I'm going to fuck for sure. Let me get a makeout. And they get like 5 or 6 makeouts. And what's happened is because buying temperature might be high or whatever, but because sexual tension is gone. So there's no more tension. And then you've already escalated, but you're not in your bedroom. So basically it's like taking a piece of metal and you get it hot in a forge and then you let it cool off and then you take it to like hammer it into shape. No, you need to hit it while it's hot. And what you've done instead is you've gotten rid of the sexual tension and you've raised buying temperature when you're in a club instead of your bedroom. And it's hard because as men, a lot of times, especially if we haven't been with a woman in a while, we want this sexual validation. We want this touch from a woman. So we accept the multiple makeouts and the girl grinding on her ass or whatever. When in reality, you can verbally increase sexual tension, but physical escalation stays down here until you get alone with her. This just means there's no way she's going to feel like a slut. And then physical escalation comes and meets sexual tension, and then you have sex with her.
Yeah, I agree with what you guys are saying. I guess I give an oversimplistic answer, although I do think it's really interesting that you don't make out with 50% of the girls that you bang beforehand. For me,
no, I actually, I'll put their hand on my dick.
Marcus.
No, I heard it. I'll put their hand on my dick probably 50% of the time, but without making out with them. That actually happens way more often, or more likely, I'll put them on my thigh, and then they'll grab my dick, and then usually we'll end up.
That would.
I'm just saying, like, for me, that part I'm not saying other guys should do. It's just for me, I don't know. Like, kissing just became like. It's funny you say first base. Kissing for me feels like way more intimate, and it's just like if I'm just like I don't know, if I'm having sex with a girl and it's super casual, like kissing for me just feels like a bit too much.
Marcus is like a prostitute. He'll fuck you, but he's not going to make out with you.
Yeah, and so it's funny, but it works to get girls chased because they're just like some girls will mention it, like, oh, do you not want to kiss? Or and I'll tell her like, that's more of it's a more serious thing for me. So like, I don't do it with every girl. And these girls will like chase for it, which is funny. I do the same thing with like sucking dick. I'm like, oh yeah, look, I don't really like it that much. If girls are really good at it, and then they'll like try their best. But yeah, it's not.
You're probably not that good, honey. Just stay at home. Do what you do best. Don't worry about it. Just go make me a sandwich. You're probably not good.
I only really like when the girls really
good. It was really good.
But yeah, I mean, as you said, Alex, I think like we probably agree on all this. It's just it depends who we're.
Yo, this is a really good question right here, dude. So I was in a relationship for 2 years, and when we got out of the relationship, one thing that I had realized is that we'd been with a lot of women together, but I hadn't been on a date one-on-one with a girl in like 2 years because I was in a relationship where we would have threesomes. And it was one of these things where like during my birthday, I was with this girl and it was like a one-on-one situation. And I just remember like, I remember feeling the same thing. I was like, oh yeah, I gotta what's it called? The muscle memory on all the things to do here because my girlfriend's not here to do it. Those are things you definitely have to relearn sometimes. But the answer is the boring answer. The answer is just repetition, to just do it over and over again, especially if you've done it before.
For me, I remember I was concerned about this when I was after my second relationship with Lindsay. We were together for like a solid year, and I didn't really do any significant amounts of pickup during that time. So I was worried it was going to take me a while. It took me probably a week to get to like 95% of where I was.
That's about right. Yeah.
It's really, you don't have to, it's not like you're relearning from scratch. It's like kind of like once you know how to ride a bike, you go 10 years without riding a bike, you'll pick it up pretty quickly. At least that's always been my perspective.
There's a mindset thing I think guys need to be aware of, because I had this like during COVID when I was locked down for ages and I left the house and I was like, what the fuck? I have to talk to people. Is you need to realize that you are a beginner again, right? Like some guys go out and they find approaching so tough because they're like, I should be good at this. I was good at this before the relationship. I got plenty of girls. And they're going in with that idea. And so they're really scared of like fucking up because they're fucking up as like someone that's really good at this and experienced. You just need to go out as the beginner again. Tell yourself it's okay to fuck up. Like I am starting from scratch. I will practice the opener again. I will practice like building a track. And as the guy said, after a week, you'll be fine. But just from a mindset point of view, like take the pressure off. You're a noob again. Do it again.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, this is hilarious. This one guy's like, girls will fuck you but won't kiss you. LOL, delusional. It's so funny, like how inexperienced some of these guys are that they actually think that they're right. No, bro, there are girls. I'm not saying she wouldn't kiss me. She just wasn't interested. She just wanted to fuck. She's interested in sex. But you've never had a guy interested in sex, a girl interested in sex with you like that before. So for you, it's like, I'm not saying, of course, most of the time we do kiss. I'm just saying there has been times.
I've had a few guys interested in sex, you know.
I've had a few guys interested in sex. Yeah.
Don't.
It's just funny that they're like, that's delusional. It must be a virgin. It's like hilarious. Yeah.
I mean, I think like, yeah, most of the time, if you're fucking the girl, she will make out with you. The question is, do you make out with her or not? I guess, yeah. I guess it's if it's not like your thing or whatever. I've always been neutral about making out, or maybe slightly positive. Like, it's more fun than not making out, but it's not nearly as fun as like other shit. So yeah, I always use it as a means to an end rather than an end itself. Like, making out doesn't do much for me, but yeah. All right. Yeah. Anyway, we covered a lot of shit. I think this was a good live stream. Any closing thoughts, guys?
No, it's all good, man. Yeah. Thanks for having us on. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Always a pleasure. All right. We'll see you guys next week.
We
should Marcus, we should get Lindbergh on for the next one.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. I'll tell him to come on.
Yeah.
Oh, real quick. If you guys are in Las Vegas on, by the way, my audio's better now.
Yeah.
Okay. I built a new studio. I don't know if you guys have seen it. Like, the background's still the same, but I have new cameras, new setup, new lighting, everything. The thing I want to say is on Thursday, if you are in Las Vegas, we are hosting the Babes in Toyland Toy Drive. We have about 400 girls coming in from all over the country. It's going to be at Park MGM. Tickets are like $100. You need to bring a toy. All the toys go to the KLUC 98.5 toy drive that we've done every year here in Las Vegas. So if you guys want to come meet a bunch of super hot girls, it is kind of a black tie thing. So guys are generally in suits, girls are in gowns, but we're collecting toys for KLUC and Monday's Dark. If you guys are in Las Vegas, want to come do that, make sure. And also, we're also hosting the Maxim New Year's party at the Roosevelt in Los Angeles. If you guys are interested in coming to that, hit me up and I'll give you the details.
I know the Roosevelt. I spent a lot of time picking up girls there and having my dates there. Yeah, that was my number one date spot when I lived in LA.
Beautiful.
But yeah, cool. All right, guys. Awesome. Love you all. I'll see you guys. We'll see you guys next week. Take it easy.
Take care.
Bye-bye.